Welcome to Menopause Moguls podcast, the Elevation Talk series, with yours truly, Dr. Joyelle. I am Dr. Joyelle, the Menopause Mogul, board-certified OBGYN and business coach for Black women 40 and over, and my mission is to educate, embolden, and empower Black women and other women of color in their journey through health and careers. This is a space for Black women and other women of color to share their compelling trials and tribulations in their health and or in their careers and businesses. This is where we recognize the humanity of Black women and show how Black women continue to elevate despite midlife challenges and changes. Hello. Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Menopause Moguls. So this is going to be part 2 of the growing season in Menopause and Business. Go back and listen to part 1 if you haven't, talking about the menopausal transition as your growing season, growing into ourselves as we are entering these midlife years. And I want to, in this episode, talk about thorns. And I mentioned in the last episode, I'm going by my thoughts after reading Luke 8 verses 5 through 8. So I did 5 and 6 last episode. We're going to do verses 7 and 8 in this episode. But before I read the scripture, I wanted to talk about thorns. Thorns in our side, right? What is a thorn in your side? So for me, thorns, the most recent thorn has been my temporary long COVID, right? As you all know, if you've been following and listening, watching, that long COVID has been definitely a thorn in my side. And thinking about how it has changed me over this last year. I think about, what the scripture says in Luke 8 verse 7. Actually, I'm going to read that one. And it says, "And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up with it and choked it." So when I read that, I was like, yeah, long COVID has been a thorn, and it literally was choking me, right? Thinking about the days when I really felt in the dark, y'all. Like I went to dark places I've never gone before, in my, during my worst days, where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I remember getting to a point where I was going to just throw everything away. Was going to throw the podcast away. I was throwing the business away. It was the thorn was choking me out. Like, it was choking all of my dreams, choking everything within me. I'm just going to throw it all away because I can't do it because of what I'm feeling, because of what I'm thinking. And when we think about thorns, right? If you ever been, pricked by a thorn, it hurts, right? It's pain. And when you think about pain triggers a stress response, right? A stress response, fight, flight, or freeze, right? And you think about, when I think about the stress response and going through menopausal transition and what our bodies is doing physiologically, it makes sense that we can be more stressed. It makes sense that Black women in particular can have more severe symptoms, can have a harder time during the menopausal transition because of the extra stress hormone cortisol, right? So when we think about stress response, physiologically, estrogen actually helps regulate our stress hormone cortisol. But as estrogen is declining as we're entering menopause, that cortisol levels, they increase. Like physiologically, they're increase. And now you're putting on top of that the things you are experiencing as far as menopausal changes or symptoms that's disrupting your life, the stress on top of that of being a mom, the stress on top of that of all the stuff that you're going through in your career, at your job, in your workplace, all the stress about just life. Y'all know life be lifing. So all of that is compounded, right? All of those are things that are triggering our stress response. They're thorns that are triggering our stress response. So when all these things is compounded, where it's just essentially get to a point where it's choking what we want to do, our dreams, because we just feel like we can't. Like we feel like it's just not possible because of all the things, all the pain that we can potentially be experiencing. And for me personally, like I said, the most recent thorn has been my long COVID, but also menopausal symptoms, right? As I was going through my perimenopausal, when I was first starting, the night sweats, the mood swings, the headaches, the acne, the irritability, like all the things, like all those things were got to a point that it was so overwhelming. Like I didn't want to think about building a business because God had already spoke to me about it, but I was like, nah, like I can't do that. Like this is too much. It's too much going on within me. Like I can't, and this, life outside of me is happening. Like, how am I going to build a business? So it was choking me, right? Like it choked that dream at that moment, right? And at this, and again, coming back, moving forward, as I experienced my dark days of long COVID, it choked my dreams. Like I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to have a podcast. I'm not supposed to have this business. Like I'm not, I guess I'm not supposed to do it. I'm not supposed to do it. But obviously, I didn't allow the choking to continue. I didn't allow the choking to continue, right? But it was something that was a process to get through. And it also, again, taught me that my health and my well-being, the importance of that in order for me to move forward and do the things again that I wanted to do. So I had to actually change my perspective of the physical pain, the emotional pain. And what I essentially did, not only through my long COVID, but as well as through my perimenopausal journey, was change my response. Right? Like I mentioned how, the pain, the thorns that can arise as we're going through life in these midlife years, that, it can trigger this stress response that makes us fight and just, fight our way through it, or makes us run away from what we want to do because what we're going through, internally or externally, or just make us freeze and just be stuck in our in our pain, stuck in our belief that that this dream that I have, I just can't do it. We can remain stuck there. So I had to learn how to change my response. And that is what I coach my clients on in regards to the menopausal symptoms, where, a lot of people are inclined to just take this and take that and it'll be fine. And, which, okay. But at the same time, we still have to learn to change our response to it. Because if you are say you are in, for example, when I was seeing patients in the office, um, I would have memory lapses where I was like, okay, what was I supposed to be doing with this patient? Or before my perimenopausal journey, I was able to read a patient's chart, go into the patient's room without the laptop, and just, listen to what she has to say, review what I reviewed in her chart, and figure out a management plan. But as I was going through my perimenopausal journey, I couldn't do that anymore. And I would freak out because I would go read the chart like I would normally do, go into the room and totally forgot what the heck I just, what the heck I just read. And I'm like, damn it. So I would like excuse myself from the room. I'm like, all right, I'll be right back, and go back and read the chart again and come back. I was just doing like this back and forth thing, feeling stupid, like beat myself up, like, girl, what the hell is wrong with you? Like all the things, right? So I had to learn to change my response to me not remembering, or the memory lapses. So I adjusted it, right? Like, so I adjusted my response, like, okay, I don't remember things like I used to. And maybe I'll take my computer in the room this time, right? And not beat myself up about it. Like, okay, this is what it is. And I'm fine. I'm okay, right? Nothing's wrong with me. Like this horrible, the things that come up in our brains, like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible, I'm this, I'm that. Like, I had to change that whole response and turn it into something that wasn't going to bring me down even further and cause more stress, right? Because when we beat ourselves up and we kick ourselves and like just talk to ourselves like we wouldn't talk to a friend, then that just causes more stress, right? That stress response, those cortisol levels, they just increase even more and makes us feel even worse. So I had to learn to change my response. I had to learn to change my response to these long COVID symptoms. Like, when the tremor would come back, at first I'd be like, oh my God, it's back. It's back. I feel horrible. It's crazy. Like all the things. And now, if it returns, knock on wood, I'm like, okay. I get curious about it. Like, okay, so what did I do differently? What could have triggered this? Maybe I need to go lay down. Maybe I need to, whatever that thing is. So not only did I change my response, but I get curious about, okay, what do I need? What do I need right now? Do I need to go sit down? Do I need to stop? Do I need to put my earplugs in because of the environment that I'm in? Because I've learned, over the year that, and I mentioned this in a prior episode, where flashing lights in the like loud music at my girls' cheer competition would trigger my tremors. So now that I know this, if things come up where, for example, I actually went to the Woman Evolve conference, led by Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. Oh my gosh, y'all, that was life-changing, amazing conference. If y'all didn't go this year, please go next year. But anyway, I started to get a tremor the first day where they were, doing praise and worship. Lights were flashing, so I had to close my eyes and put my ear pods in, so it, the tremor wouldn't progress, essentially. So it lasted for, probably a minute or so. And, obviously, again, it was in praise and worship. So I was also praying to God. I'm like, God, I'm not allowing this to distract me, right? I'm not allowing it to distract me. Because, we can allow our pains and our traumas, these things that come up, they can be distractions, right? And distract us away from the things that we want to do, like build our business and follow our dreams and things like that. So I was like, no, he's not going to be a distraction. Not today. I'm going to get this word in today, and this trimmer is not going to make me leave because I feel like what? No, we're not doing that, right? So I changed my response to it, like because before, when it was happening, it was all like, oh my gosh, what was me? I can't, like, this is happening to me again. Like, how am I going to feel? Why does it keep, like, like I mentioned before another episode, like, I can't, we not doing that no more. We're not doing it no more. So I had to learn to change my response. And again, get curious. Okay, what do I need to do? Put my earpods in. What do I need to do as far as any other symptoms or pains that happen? Do I need to sit down? Do I need to drink more water? Whatever the thing is. And this is what I coach my clients on. Like when they are going through different symptoms, menopausal symptoms, whether it's brain fog or hot flashes or mood changes, they learn how to actually change their response to it, so it's not as intense and it's not distracting them from the things they actually want to do, right? And then they are now able to work on their business and do the things that they want to do, because this thing is not looming over them, just keeping them stuck and not, getting in their own way, essentially, right? So learning to change the response and get curious about what I need to do. And again, going back to just nurturing myself and that relationship that I have with myself, where I am not constantly beating myself up because now this damn trimmer is back, which is what I was doing, right? In the beginning, like, oh my God, like I am not. So now I'm in a different space. But it brings me back to what I learned through my perimenopause journey. I am now doing that again, where I am changing my response to my long COVID symptoms, getting curious about what my body needs in that moment, so that I can do the things that I want to do in my business, so I can do the things that I want to do with this podcast, like all the things. So being able to change my response, and get curious about what I need and what I want as I'm moving through this season has been a game changer. So going back to the thorns, right? Not allowing the thorns that come up, internally, choke us out of our dreams, dreams of building a business. We can get out of those thorn bushes, right? Get out of those thorn bushes by changing our response and getting curious about what we need. And at the same time, watering the relationship that we have with ourselves, watering the things that make us feel good about ourselves, the things that bring us joy. So doing those things to water us allow us to get out of those thorn bushes, right? And not to say that, again, just like the rocks in the last episode, where the thorns, will they completely go away? Like maybe, or maybe not. But if they are there, we can stop the thorns from choking whatever we want to do, from taking the air out of what we want to do by again nurturing ourselves and watering the relationship that we have with ourselves. And going on to verse 8 from Luke 8 says, some seeds fell on good rich soil, and when these matured, they yielded an abundant harvest. And again, it goes back to the environment that we create within ourselves, and our internal environment that can totally be disrupted by our menopausal transition, right? I totally have felt that. I've totally seen that, obviously, with working with my clients. It can be totally disrupting within our internal environment. However, it does not have to stop us from doing all the things that we want to do in our life, like build a business, write a book, whatever that thing is, if we are intentional about watering our soil, watering our environments. I don't know if you guys watch or follow Bishop T.D. Jakes. He talks about good soil, especially as you are building businesses and, entering entrepreneurship. It's so important in these midlife years, building a foundation. That foundation starts within you, right? Despite all the things that are happening around us, all the, like I mentioned before, life be lifing. It's always going to be something. If we build a foundation within ourselves where we have a relationship with ourselves, that we are intentional about pouring into ourselves and treating ourselves differently, by which we are actually prioritizing what we want, prioritizing ourselves, choosing us and our dreams before all the other things, even our children, right? Like, we have to, when we choose us, when we are intentional about nurturing the environment within ourselves, we can build the business of our dreams. We can do all the things that we are being called to do. But we have to enrich that soil, our environment, which is our mind, our body, our spirit. And that may look different for everybody, right? Prayer, meditation, yoga, eating healthier, moving our bodies, what else? All the things that, again, bring us joy, that allow us to be still, that allow us to take the time to actually listen to our bodies and what we need and what we want in this growing season. It makes a world of a difference for us to accomplish what we want to accomplish as we are, going through these changes. When we have this, this idea that has been planted, this idea of a business that has been planted within us, if we want it to grow, we have to be aware of the environment that it's growing in. If it's in an environment where we are beating ourselves up all the time, judging ourselves, have these limiting beliefs that, we can't do it, or I'm not enough, and I don't have enough money, like all the things. Like I said, I'm talking about myself, y'all. I don't know about y'all. This is the stuff that I have been, like, just kind of navigating myself through. When we again just change the relationship that we have with ourselves, where we actually become more intimate with ourselves and sit with ourselves more and truly uncover what's deep down inside of us, that's already there, allow it to come to light and really shine our brilliance on the world, we are unstoppable. We are unstoppable. But we have to see it, right? We have to see it. We have to know it. We have to trust it in order for us to do the amazing things that we want. So that was what I got. That is part 2 of the growing season in menopause and business. Just to remind you that you are still growing. And as you are growing, give yourself grace through the process. Realize that it is a process. Because I think for me, it was like, I'm just ready to, I have this idea. I wanted to put it out there and things just blow up, like, all of a sudden. Like, here I am. Here's the business. is successful. And it don't happen that way. It takes time. It's a process. And that has definitely been something that I continue to learn and embrace as I'm going through this season of my life. The process of growing, it's a process, and it definitely requires patience. For example, I'll give you this quick story again about planting. I decided to plant some peppers, right? Put them in a pot and watering it, and I'm like, where is something gonna happen? Like, I don't see nothing coming up. Then I started seeing little little leaves come up and stems. I'm like, oh, something's coming. It's coming. And it grew into this lovely, this stems and leaves. I'm like, where the peppers at? I don't see no pepper. Where's the pepper? Where the peppers? I don't see the peppers. And finally, I don't even know how long it's been. And I wish I would have documented when I actually planted it, because I don't remember when, but it was a long time, y'all. It was a long time. Just believe me. It was a long time. But finally, a pepper. I had a pepper on the little pepper tree. Call it my little pepper. But let me tell you, in between all of that, there was times where the leaves were shriveled up and it looked like it was dead. I was like, oh my God, the pepper trees died. I think I went away and forgot to water it, whatever. But it was like, oh my God. But when I watered it, the leaves would come back to life. And I'm like, oh, okay, you just needed some water. Okay, I got you. So it did that multiple times, right? Because again, I would either forget to water it or whatever, and it will shrivel up. I'm like, oh my God, I think I killed the pepper tree. The peppers ain't never gonna come. But after I watered it, it came back to life and it was thriving. And then, like I said, eventually I got a pepper. But it took a while. So it required much patience, right? And much appreciation for the process. And again, as I think about that little pepper tree, I think about my business and the transitions that I've gone through, perimenopause, this entrepreneur transition, all the things. I really continue to learn to embrace the process. But through the process, remember to nurture myself, my health, my mind, my body, my emotions. I have to be intentional about nurturing all of it, because all of that impacts how I show up, how my business is going to grow, because it's all connected, right? Like I've said this before, you are the business. And if you are not prioritizing you, if you are not choosing you, if you are not watering you, the business will not thrive as much as you want it to, right? As you are navigating through all these midlife changes. So in order for you to thrive, in order for the business to thrive, you have to be intentional about creating an environment that is able to allow that business idea and whatever those ideas are to grow, for you to continue to be creative. You have to create an environment that you also water continually going through that process. So that's what I have for y'all today. Again, another reminder, you can do anything. You are enough to do anything you are being called to do. But please remember to water yourself, water your dreams as you are going through this process. And as always, sending love and light to you all until next time. And don't remember to leave a comment, leave a review, share, because like I said, when we do all of that, we are unstoppable. So, all right, y'all, take care.